You know, following up on what Michael said about Manhattan being a close plane ride away, you could certainly have gone up to the Met Gala had you been so invited last night.
Invited.
Well, I think probably some Sarasota people were, but this year's theme was Heavenly Bodies. This is a little different, combining fashion with Catholic imagery. Okay, so some crazy looks out there. You just saw
Rihanna.
Katy Perry, Rihanna with the Pope hat, Madonna, Ariana Grande.
Madonna, look at her.
Lots of very, very different. So Ariana Grande has the Sistine Chapel ceiling on her dress.
Wow.
I mean, some very different things. That's Amal Clooney, of course, in the florals. Quick look there at Jennifer Lopez. Has a cross.
Wow.
Sarah Jessica Parker had a very regal-looking popish hat on.
I know nothing about fashion, but
Jared
I
Leto.
do enjoy watching these outfits because I
you know,
wonder if
the motivation for this was the Met has just opened a new exhibit on ecclesiastical wear of the past 500 years.
Really?
And the Vatican has actually lent the museum these highly valuable vestments from the Vatican collection. It's over there now, and guess where I'm going next week? I'm going to see the exhibit. Of course.
This is why we invite him.
I was going to go. I was going to become a priest primarily because of these vestments. I realized.
I don't know if I believe
And then
that.
I realized there were so many other things
There's
involved.
a lot of rules involved.
I had a whole new life.
A lot of rules.
Big
But
hats.
I cannot believe they're using this church imagery like that, because it essentially is costuming. When you think of it, it is
I was a
costuming.
little taken aback. I got to
You
tell
thought
you.
it was a little perhaps blasphemous.
I was
That's what a lot of
concerned.
people were saying.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
I
but
heard,
sorry.
I heard that they agreed with it in Rome. That they
Yes, the
they knew
Vatican
exactly
actually said,
what was
okay,
happening.
because there's particularly the current Pope, he's acknowledging the story of, you know, the mythology of the clothing of the priests and to do with creating a kind of royal aura around the papacy. And he wants to kind of downplay that.
It's
there's a
another
much
way
more
of telling the story.
Another way of saying this is part of the history of the 2,000-year history of the church, is the gradual accumulation of these intense bejeweled costumes, which many people ended up rejecting and saying, no, that's not what Christianity is for. And for the Met to be doing this exhibit gives us an opportunity to talk about the story of religion and how we choose to costume it. It asks big questions about what it should be.
Well, and I
what
took
it
a
isn't. Aren't you
simpler
dreading
view.
that you brought this topic
No,
up now?
No. But listen, the church in general, no matter what branch, has really fallen off with the new generation.
Yes.
And my teenagers were interested in this last night. So the conversation leapt down to the younger crowd. And I thought that was a good and bad thing. My daughter wanted to know if I was offended, because she knows I'm fairly conservative religiously about things like that.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not offended, but it's very interesting is all I said.
You know, and it is,
You know.
it is an opportunity. No, there's to be offended by this. I mean, you could say you're offended by the clothing itself. Many people were. Martin Luther, for instance, hated this stuff.
What's interesting, though, is when you see something come down the runway, or like in this case, the red carpet, sometimes I think people can easily write it off as saying, oh, that's just crazy. That's crazy fashion.
Crazy fashion,
But there is
right.
something behind it. There's
So,
something
well,
behind
Madonna did it. Madonna did it in Like a Virgin. She appropriated all that Catholic imagery and did it in a very provocative, many thought blasphemous way. I thought it was an interesting unpacking, as the young people say, of the story of religious mythology.
And finally, they followed the theme. The Met's been mad for the past couple of years that everybody blew off their theme.
And it's like, here they are. We're talking about the Met Gala.
And there you have it.
Well, now we have new
religion.
insight.
How often do we talk about religion?
We'll